In this video, I'll be giving you guys the best sliders and settings to use in FC25 to make the game more realistic, more challenging, but also keeping it fun. If that sounds good, make sure to stick till the end of the video. These sliders and settings have been applied and tested following title update 6 of FC25, the first of the Frost title updates. I guess those are updates that will be coming through the holiday season. They'll be bringing all kinds of new features, all kinds of new faces and stuff, and really this is where the game is most playable in terms of features that have been added. The live start points are in there, most of the updated player faces are in the game, all of the new stadiums, or predominantly most of the new stadiums are already in the game and have been added up until this point. And this is where you really get the value for money out of the game. Now, as for the gameplay, you're seeing it on screen now. This is what the game is going to look like, but I'll be going through the sliders and settings in just a second, so make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe as well. I'd greatly appreciate that. Let's firstly go through the sliders. I'll be giving out the settings that I use as well, and I'll be showing you guys what to modify, what are my thoughts on the gameplay as well towards the end, so make sure to stick around. But as for the sliders, of course, we're using custom gameplay and we'll be using medium. When in fact I've been keeping it medium throughout the whole time, nothing new there. If you've seen my previous videos, medium with the effect on, because we want it to be a simulation and for the weather to have the effect on the game, of course. Now, sprint speed is on 33 for both the user and the CPU. The acceleration is on 49, so just one below the default 50. We have shot error on 59 for the user, but shot error is only on 57 for the CPU. So meaning they'll be a bit more accurate in their shooting than you will be. So once they go through on goal, they have a higher chance of scoring than you do. Pass error for the user is on 72, and the pass error for the CPU is only on 70. It's quite high for both, but once again, the CPU has the advantage here. Again, you'll see towards the end when I show the game settings that the pass assistance for the user is not assisted either, so that ties into the pass error as well. Shot speed for the user is on 45, but it's also the same in this case for the CPU. It's also on 45. The pass speed for the user is on 44, whereas the pass speed for the CPU is on 40. So this is one of the few sliders where the user actually gets the advantage, but that's just because the game is always that much faster than you are. I mean, the CPU in the game, the AI is always that much faster than you are, and this kind of makes it a bit more fair. Okay, so the CPU's pass speed is on 40, the injury frequency is on 75 for both user and CPU, and the injury severity is on 33 for both the user and CPU. The goal capability is identical on 59 for both, and the marking is also identical, but it has been severely lowered from the previous set of sliders. It's on 56 for both user and the CPU. Now, the reason being, following this update, I recognized quite early on that the defenders are getting pulled out of position way too much, with the marking being quite high, right? Especially in situations where you're playing against a false 9 or a classic number 10 or attacking midfielder, in other words, right? The centre backs will end up being attracted to marking this person so tightly because the marking was so high that they leave gaps, right? And all that this attacking midfielder, be it on your side or on the AI side, they just have to play like one ball and then your whole defense is split open, right? So on 56, it still allows them to be tight, but not all the time and not unnecessarily. So I have it on 56. Then the run frequency has also been reduced. This one, I'll leave it down to you guys. I have it on 32, right? And the reason I lowered it again is there were so many runs being made. So see even here, the CPU makes runs and they are a bit more risky in their passing. By the way, the gameplay you're seeing is on negative difficulty, just to throw that out there. But down to 32. Previous updates, you wouldn't really get them making that many runs. Here I found them they're making way too many runs, right? Again, if by somehow you're not getting as many goals as you would like, or you're not getting as many chances as you would like, either for you or for the CPU, this is a very easy metric or slider to increase. It allows them to make more runs, thus they'll make more chances either for yourself or for the CPU, like I said. We've also made an adjustment to the line height. It is on 64. Now, to those who don't know what line height is, it's how high up your defensive line is. So are you playing a high line, are you playing a low block, are you parking the bus, are you playing a mid block? that kind of thing. Of course, your tactics still determine this, but just generally, we have increased the height even further. We had it on 60, but then now we have it on 64. Of course, we do the same for both because we want to keep it fair. So the line height has been increased, so the defenses will be a bit higher, not too much, but just a bit higher. But the line length has been increased as well to 40. We had it lower before. Now, people usually get confused as to if you lower the value, what does it mean? Or if you increase the value, what does it mean? So for example, here with line length, we have increased the value, which means we have increased the space between the lines, right? So your front line to your midfield line to your defensive line. So essentially the space between them, between those two lines, right? Or those sets of lines, I should say. That's what line length is. And because we have increased the value, we have opened up more space. But that plays into the line height being higher. If you're finding this confusing, don't think about it too much. Okay, we've increased the line length up to 40. But to those who wanted the explanation, what the line width, of course, is how wide your defense is. So from one touch line to the other, not longitudinally across the field, but from one throw-in line to the other. Okay, so how wide your defensive line is. We've lowered it a bit to 48 to make it a bit more compact in the middle. Yeah, it opens up a bit more space out wide, but I think that's more realistic than opening space and just having your center backs being like wide apart. So we lowered it just a bit down to 48, and then fullback positioning has also been decreased down to 75. It was on 80 before, and the higher you increase this slider, the further up the field your fullback will go, right? Which means you will be more vulnerable to counterattacks. So we lowered this a bit because we have again increased the line height. All of these really all tie into each other. So if you're going to use one of these, like the height, the length, the width, and the fullback positioning, use the whole set as it is, or else you're just going to mess it up. Power bar, for the first time ever, I've actually played around with this, and this is following some suggestions I got in, I think it was title update 4, where people were suggesting like, hey, check out the power bar, it may make a difference. And I did, and I've lowered it down to 40. Now, lowering it down means the power bar is a bit more sensitive, right? So which means you don't have to hold it down as much to either gain power for a pass, gain power for a shot. So I've lowered it just a bit down to 40, and it makes the passes feel a bit more zippier, right? It's not too fast because we still have lowered down like the pass speed. Same thing with the shots, we've lowered the shot speed, but this kinda helps in you adjusting to that from a physically being the player point of view, like with the controller in your hand. But if this makes no difference for you, like this is down to personal preference, it doesn't really change all that much, it just changes how much input you put on the buttons. So I have it down to 40. First touch control error for the user is on 12, and the first touch control error for the CPU is on 66. Just determines how much error there will be in tackles. What is the chances of you getting the ball or putting in a tackle, when it bounces back to them, when it bounces back to you. With these values, I find that it's a bit more fair, it's a bit more 50-50. CPU sliders, I still use tactical. It's not ideal, but it is the best of both worlds, the best of being realistic and being challenging. If you want more challenging, go dynamic, but that's less realistic. If you want more realistic, go custom, and I have the values that I did in my very first slider video. If you want to use those are the most realistic ones, but they become a bit more predictable. I think I've said that multiple times, but to those who have not heard me say that, there you go. Before we get into the actual settings, I'll just give you guys a little bit of a tip. Play-based difficulty works very well, actually. I'd suggest you guys having it on if you are somehow finding the game too easy. Okay, I have it off because I'm not finding it too easy. I'm sure you guys can see here, right? And by the way, difficulty, I play on World Class, Legendary, and Ultimate within Career Mode. I rotate between the 3 difficulties depending on I'm playing at home or away or which competition I'm playing in. Again, play-based difficulty. If you're playing on Ultimate and you find the game still easy, please, by all means, turn on play-based difficulty. I would not turn on competitive mode because that's just not fun to play, in my opinion. That's just nowhere near realistic. With play-based difficulty, you do sacrifice a bit of realism, but it is still very much playable. And finally, the game settings. Don't turn off the video here because these are just as important as the sliders. Most times people ask me, hey, I used your sliders, but then my gameplay doesn't look like yours. What's going on? Well, that's probably because you skipped this part of the video, which is quite important. These are the game settings that I am using. You just pause the video and apply them. Stuff such as semi-ground passing, such as manual through passing. Again, you can adjust. If you're finding it too difficult with manual through passing, go semi. I wouldn't go assisted. I just wouldn't. Right now, I'm struggling with the defending following this update. So I'm currently using assisted jockeying. But this usually happens after every update, and it's something that I found, like every second update or so, it becomes more difficult to defend against tricky wingers and players dribbling at you. So right now I'm using assisted jockeying, but I'm sure once I get acclimatized to the defending, I will go back to manual. Ideally, I want to use manual jockeying, but for now I'm unassisted, and it's not like I'm finding it overly easy. I still find it a bit difficult, and the opposition still do create chances and dribble past me and stuff like that. But yeah, those are the settings that I am using. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about the gameplay. My thoughts are it's okay. I think it's a bit of a step back from Title Update 5. Title Update 5 for me was the best gameplay I've played in years, honestly, in years. I'd say this is a bit of a step back, not too much, just a bit of a step back, just because of the dribbling from the AI, especially in the high difficulties. You'll see on Legendary and on Ultimate is a bit worse, but you'll see the unrealistic dribbling, the unrealistic skills, the unrealistic movements, and the sudden, change of direction with the ball. That's not great, and that has only happened following this update, right? So that's a bit of a downer for me, but it's still playable. It's still better, in my opinion, than anything that was in FC24. It's not the worst update of FC25 either, okay? It's playable, not the best, but I'll give it maybe like a 7 out of 10 or something like that, whereas the previous one I probably would give like a 9 out of 10, right? This is, of course, by EA standards, but you guys, of course, can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Check out the channel for other content. We have all kinds of career modes running over there, so please do come over and support. Drop a like on the video and subscribe. So we're close to 4,000 subscribers, by the way, so do get involved if you haven't gotten involved yet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think we should crush it, and I'll see you guys next time.